the same exact creative team as 7-3 Rick Remender and Jerome Opeña. But Dean White does the colors instead of Matthew Hollingsworth.
Here we go. Jean Grey 7. All right, we are back with book section 1. This is Jean Grey number 7. Trevor's going to take over since this is the IVX section and tell us what's going down here.
Yes. All right. So Jean Grey number 7, written by Dennis Hopeless with art by. Okay, now this is fucked up because I was excited because the art said Victor Ibanez, who did the first few issues, and he did some Extraordinary X-Men, and he's an incredible artist.
Yeah.
So I was all excited, but it was wrong. It's actually Alberto Jimenez Albuquerque, who I think did the last issue too, or at least it's a similar style to the last issue. Colors by J. David Ramos, letters by VC's Travis Lanham, and the cover was by David Yarden, who does all the covers for Jean Grey, and they're all pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I like the cover. I like how she looks in the covers as opposed to on the inside of the book.
Yeah, the covers are fantastic. Victor Ibanez.
She looks like so much younger on the inside of the book.
Yeah, she does. She looks older on the cover. I even like when you flip the first page on the credits page, that art kind of looks like Shade the Changing Girl art, but I don't think it's the same artist. But the colors and everything, it looks kind of cool. But yeah. David Yarden would be great doing the interiors. Victor Ibanez was doing a fantastic job. And, you know, it's been a cycle of different artists since the first, 3 issues, I think. But I guess he'll come back sooner or later, probably for Psych War next month in Legacy. But I got the solicit here. Traveling the universe, preparing herself for the inevitable encounter with the Phoenix Force, Jean Grey has learned how to fight from the likes of Namor, Thor, and Psylocke. But now she wants to know more about her opponent than the best way to punch it. She wants to know what makes it tick. She wants to know what it's made of. And to learn that, this makes no sense, she'll go to one of the few women who've harnessed its power, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. That has nothing to do with what's going on in this issue. She doesn't. It's like a fucking baby's day out. You know what I mean? She's just she's just trying to chill this issue, although it doesn't work out that way for her towards the end. So we start off this issue in the New York subway with Jean Grey arguing with the spirit of her old self, which that's what happened in the last issue. Now she went to go chill and train with Doctor Strange, and she found that the old Jean Grey, her spirit's been following her around this whole time. So old Jean asks why the hell she's wearing headphones when her phone hasn't worked since the underwater adventure with Namor. And I'm just going to start calling old Jean Phoenix and young Jean right now.
Yeah, it's easier to talk.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back and forth to do that. So Jean says it so people doesn't think she's a crazy person talking to herself, which is funny, you know, because if you think of that, you never really know if when someone's walking around with like a Bluetooth headset or headphones, like they could just be talking to themselves to fuck with you, or just talking to themselves for the fuck of it, and nobody would ever know because you got a headset on.
Right.
But they keep arguing back and forth, and Phoenix won't tell Jean where they're going, and then they start arguing over the whole issue is arguing. They start.
I know that was a little annoying.
It was so annoying. Oh, I need a sip of water real quick. That bugged the shit out of me. So they're arguing back and forth because she won't tell her where she's going. And where the fuck was I? Oh yeah. You know, she wonders if Jean wonders if she's actually talking to herself, or Phoenix is a figment of her imagination of some villain fucking with her. But you know, not even Doctor Strange is quite sure what she is. Or how she got there. He's under the impression that he got rid of her altogether, but nope, here she is, and she assures Jean she is real as real can be, and they're screaming at each other on the subway platform. I mean, I don't even want to talk about what they're talking about because it doesn't even matter. Like,
yeah, it's inconsequential.
it really is. It's not advancing the story, so this is just what's happening, and who cares what they're talking about. So they're on the subway platform, and all these people are getting a charge out of Jean screaming at herself, and they're all laughing. And then all of a sudden, all their faces start turning into like Tetris pieces and floating up into the sky. Yeah. And then, which looks pretty cool actually. And then a hole opens up in the ceiling, and Scarlet Witch comes out. Boy. So Jean asks her to stop what she's doing to these people.
I hate her crown in these scenes. Like all these beads coming off of it look super stupid.
Yeah, it looks really big. I've seen it look smaller. Yeah, I guess it really depends on the artist. I've seen it
Yeah.
look big. I've seen it look small. I've seen it not have any decorations like that on there,
Yeah.
like it just being like plain red with no gems. Like she must own like a bunch of different tiaras.
Yeah, I know. That threw me off for it. I'm like, that is an ugly goddamn crown she's wearing this issue.
Yeah, she was always weird. I think Jean, the Phoenix Jean, makes a joke about the tiaras.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, later in the issue, which is pretty funny. So Jean asks her to stop what she's doing because she's afraid she's gonna, Wanda's gonna hurt the people. Wanda tells her that she does it all the time. No worries. She just sent them to a different subway stop. It's a minor inconvenience. They're just gonna be a little late to work. So Jean's confused by why she's here, and Phoenix just wants her to go away. And Wanda tells her she spoke to Doctor Strange and heard how stressed she was about the Phoenix and wants to take her on a relaxing getaway. And Jean is just being a whiny bitch about it. So they head off to Savage Land. Wonderful, right?
Yeah, I know.
So
that's where I think of going to relax, a place filled with dinosaurs.
yeah, it sounds like a great time. Jean, what does Jean say? She's like, I'd love to give you a Jurassic Park mental health day. But unlike, that's what she says. She's like, I'd love to give you a Jurassic Park mental health day, but unlike Crimson Tiara here.
Yeah, there's the joke. I don't believe I missed that because I had such a problem with the tiara. I don't believe I missed that thing.
Which is pretty funny. So they're at Savage Land and they're jogging and meditating and relaxing, and Wanda and Jean bond over the pressure of being powerful and how important it is to take a minute and relax and decompress. And Phoenix isn't happy. She's haunting Jean the whole time, trying to get her to focus on training and what's coming, and Jean's ignoring her. And then Phoenix warns her about a T-Rex, and she throws it in the ocean. And that's the Savage Land scene right there. That's how it goes. There's nothing really important going on. I don't know.
Yes.
Like
what's her name looks creepy as fuck in the bottom right panel. Scarlet Witch. Her eyes look like they're ready to bug out of her head, don't they?
On the bottom right panel, like when they throw the dinosaur in the ocean, she looks like a drug addict.
Yeah, she does. She really looks like I've been strung out on heroin for 4 days.
it looks like an old. No, I'm not gonna say that. That's bad. I was gonna say something really awful, but I was like, you know what? Shut up. So next they go to Rio de Janeiro and they're fighting a mudslide monster, and Phoenix asks Jean why she needed a day off if she's just going to be fighting giant monsters. But Jean's like, oh, no, I'm not fighting giant monsters. I'm helping these people, which is the same thing. She was with the X-Men. So the question still applies. So what she just said doesn't mean anything. So Phoenix is nagging her the whole damn time about getting back to work and training, which I'm totally on Jean Phoenix's side here, like the Phoenix version. What the fuck are you doing? You just chill it out. Let's get to the story. But I guess, this is the one issue before the big legacy psych war story. So it's just like a meandering,
just setting
whatever.
all the final pieces in place.
Yeah.
I guess.
So Wanda comes down. Jean's, they're having that conversation and they're talking about training and whatnot. And Jean's saying how she can only do so much, blah, blah, blah. Wanda comes down and weighs in because I this whole issue, I was not exactly clear if Wanda knows that older Jean is there. I'll get to that in a second because there's a scene that acknowledges it, but I'm not sure she is, because Wanda's always answering. Jean will be talking to the Phoenix and Wanda will come down and answer her question. So I'm like, okay, so maybe she doesn't know she's there.
Right.
But then later on, but anyway, so they fight the mud monster and Jean saves some people and they talk back and forth about the pressure and that's it. They hug. This fucking issue.
I know. I don't understand the transitions. They're just hopping from place to place.
They're hopping from place to place.
They go to another place.
Having the same conversation the whole time. So it's as if it takes place within the amount of time it took you to read it, but they're jumping from place to place, having a conversation that's continuing from panel to panel. So from Savage Land to Rio de Janeiro, they're continuing sentences. So which whatever.
Yeah. I know.
So now we're at a fucking cooking class in Monster Metropolis under Manhattan, and they're learning how to cook some kind of crab monster meat, which is one of Wanda's favorite dishes. And apparently, Phoenix is pissed. She's had it, and so have I, frankly. She can't take it anymore. She had to wait 45 minutes at the Monster Metropolis immigration, and between that, the whole day being wasted, and Wanda, and Jean's lovey-dovey crap, she's had a fucking enough. And so have I. So she hops into Jean's body, possesses her, tells Wanda she's really nice and all, but the positive stuff is making her want to fucking puke, and she bolts, and she's out of there. So Jesus, and this is the thing. This is one of the things, right? So when she's bitching about being stuck at the immigration, one of the ghost guys who's wearing a sheath, he's like, "Welcome to my world, lady." So like he's acknowledging that the Phoenix is there, right? But
yeah,
Scarlet Witch, Wanda being surprised when Jean turned to her and was like, "Wanda, you have a kind heart, and I appreciate that, I really do. But I've swallowed as much as your positivity as I could stomach in one day." And she looks all shocked. You know what I mean? Like, so I like, should she have been able to see the Phoenix? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's so weird. Scarlet Witch is being yelled at for being super positive because that's never her character. You know what I'm saying? Like
she's always dour and like sad about
she's
her
usually the fucking crazy one.
Yeah, people are always talking shit to her and making her feel bad about herself everywhere, even Uncanny Avengers right now. Like, and I was reading Uncanny Avengers.
That's the last issue we read. Like, she was all fucking dour and down about what she did.
Any book, I haven't read the Scarlet Witch solo series, but 90% of the time when you see Scarlet Witch in a comic book, somebody is raining on her parade and she is feeling bad about herself. So, so it's just weird you get an issue about her being the positive influence on somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I get that they identify with each other because they have similar circumstances. They're both like super powerful, and people are always trying to tell them to like calm down and watch out for themselves because they could really, fuck everybody's worlds up. But at the same time, it's just whatever, like I understand the issue. If anybody hears me talking crap about it, like I didn't enjoy it that much, like, I understand what it's about. I just, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, but, I don't know. Until we get to this last scene here, it feels like the whole issue is just kind of like not needed.
Not needed. I agree. Like she's, we got some cameos. She's flying through the sewer. She sees some moloids. She sees the mole man. She busts out of the sewer cap with the Phoenix fire around her. So, which is a little bit confusing because I understand the spirit of Jean is the Phoenix, right? Like she calls herself the Phoenix. She was imbued with the power of the Phoenix Force, but she doesn't have it now. It's still out there in the universe, possessing Thane and Thanos right now, and Quentin Quire and Mighty Thor. So it's not there right now, and her ghost doesn't possess it. So just because she possesses Jean, why the fuck does she have the Phoenix fire around her? That makes no fucking sense. But anyway, she ends up at a penthouse. And she's sitting outside this window, and you're wondering who it is, and it belongs to Emma Frost, and Emma is, insulting Jean like she normally does. They're having a conversation. If you've ever seen Emma and Jean, like the real Jean Grey and Emma Frost have a conversation with each other in X-Men comics, this is exactly what you're seeing right here. It's the same fucking thing. And then Phoenix in Jean's body blasts Emma, knocks her down. Emma talks a little bit of shit, and then Phoenix hops out of Jean's body and into Emma's body and takes control. And Jean freaks out, and then it says next legacy. So that's your issue. It was a waste. It was kind of a waste of time. I was a little down on a lot of books this week. Normally, I love this book. It's a great book. I just think this issue is like, they would training her for so long. It's been this whole entire arc since issue 1. So it had, it's just been enough already. 7 issues of one story. It's kind of like they couldn't start the next arc because it didn't line up with the timing of Legacy, so they had to do this issue. So this is just some bullshit issue until we get back to the real series again. So this is, for me, I don't know. I love this book, but it's a forget altogether for me. So
yeah, I'm with you there, because when I come into reading a book that I don't normally read, like I want it to entice me and grab me going forward into wanting to read the next issue. And this one just felt like it was just meandering, and it didn't grab my attention for that reason. Like I had a real hard time getting through the Scarlet Witch part of the issue because it felt so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like you understood in the very beginning, the first few pages, that Ghost Jean wanted nothing to do with just bullshitting around and wanted to get to the point. And then you deal with regular Jean bullshitting around the whole issue until Ghost Jean is fed up when she was fed up in the first fucking page. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, she could have just did this a long time ago. We wouldn't even have gone through this.
Yeah, like, but we wouldn't have the meat of the issue, which was nothing. So
yeah,
I like the very end, and I like
Jean learning how to relent.
The very beginning. Like the whole Scarlet Witch stuff was pointless. So yeah, for me, it's a forget. Like you can pick up next issue, read the legacy pages they're going to give you, and that'll be a good jumping on point for you going forward.
I'm sure next issue is going to be great. I mean, it's called Psych War, which Wars, which alone sounds awesome. And the cover of the next issue is Jean with like the Phoenix in a cage walking through Emma's head. So I mean, that alone just looks like fucking some psychedelic craziness. I know Victor Ibanez is probably going to be on there killing it. So I know next issue is going to be fantastic. But you can forget about this one. Save your money.
Yeah, so it's a forget, which will bring us into number 154, Venom. And this is kind of also a placeholder issue, I would say, until 155, which is the legacy issue where Bagley takes over art duties. But this one is done a little better than the Jean Grey issue. So we're going to get into the blurb. I'll go over the creative team on this book and then tell you about it as we kind of have a day in the life of the symbiote and what he's been up to in the body of Eddie Brock. So Venom 154, written by Mike Costa, art by Paul, how do you say that one? Sequeira?
Oh, God. I don't even know. Sequeira. I say Sequeira.
Okay, so Paulo Sequeira. I haven't heard that name in a while. Cam Smith, Walden Wong, Rachel Rosenberg as colorist. VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer. So we got a first of its kind tale told in the mighty Marvel manner. You've seen things from Eddie Brock's perspective. Now see things from the other side. In this, a whole issue from the perspective of Venom symbiote. So yeah, we basically get a quick recap in the first page, just of, Eddie's in the symbiote again, and the symbiote saying how, Eddie loves that they're back together, but he's, I don't know, kind of not so sure about it right now. Then you discover that at night while Eddie's sleeping, the symbiote's kind of doing some things on its own, and that consists of, for the most part, watching TV, which he calls learning.
Learning about the world at large.
yeah. So he's watching, I don't know, newscasts. It took me a little bit to figure out what was going on in this book to start, who was talking and when it was the TV talking. But once I got that down, I really enjoyed what was happening. I was watching a broadcast about the Shocker. He's watching like CSI type shows and shit like that. They tell you after just an introduction into him watching this medical show, how he's kind of used that to get into Eddie's brain a little bit, help understand Eddie and his dreams. And he's also, I think, using that to keep Eddie asleep a little longer than he should be. So he can keep learning and keep absorbing this information he's getting from TV. He knows Eddie's been using this serum from Alchemax to quote unquote heal him. And this is where we kind of start going through the different versions of the symbiote or different people he's been a part of. I just mentioned how the symbiote's keeping Eddie asleep longer. Eddie springs up at this point because he's late for a meeting with Liz Allen at Alchemax. It's kind of like the bad guy. She's up to something. We don't really know what totally yet. But she's helping Venom, get access to this serum to keep the symbiote basically in check a little bit. While he does jobs for her. And the first job he did was really keep this Stegron situation under wraps because Alchemax was letting shit get out, turning people into dinosaur people. After that scene is when we really start getting into who the symbiote's been a part of. We go in order as we see he was part of Peter first, and they give you a quick recap of Peter and the symbiote and how he got it off and how it got to Eddie. Now this part is what I wanted to ask you. Is this the symbiote out alone when he goes to fight these bad guys he got from the newscast?
I was thinking that. That's exactly what I was thinking. because it's just the. Oh no, wait. I thought that at first. Like, what do you mean when the people are robbing the store, or?
Yeah, after the Spider-Man recap, because he goes through his history with Spider-Man, and then he's on top of this building. Now, is he doing this alone, or is he with Eddie in this point in time?
This I think he's with Eddie, but
See, but because we got this line where he says Eddie doesn't know we do this, wrong to trick him. Is he talking about TV, or is he talking about saving these people?
I think he might be talking about the TV and learning and everything.
Because then we come down, we do see Eddie walking into the store, but I was like, is he just kind of, because he can form into different things, is he just doing a shadow of Eddie? But yeah, I think you're right. I think he's talking about the TV. This is Eddie being a hero, because these guys were running around bear spraying people with mace and robbing stores. So Venom takes him out.
And then he says, Eddie is smart, protect the innocent, walk in looking weak so Clerk isn't in danger, you know?
Yeah. You're right.
I keep dropping.
So yeah, he takes down these thugs, and then we get another recap of who the symbiote was a part of. He recaps his history with is it Mark Gargan?
Is it? Yeah, Mac.
Okay, Gargan. Yeah,
Mac Gargan.
Gargan, who was Scorpion. I never say his name right. I always call him the wrong name, but Mac Gargan.
He was a creepy Scorpion too. He was the Scorpion during Dark Reign and all the Norman Osborn stuff, right?
Yeah, I think he's always been Scorpion.
I mean, not Scorpion, Venom. He was Venom then.
Yes,
right? Yeah. That was creepy. He was a creepy ass fucking Venom too.
Yeah, like, he was a bad Venom. And this is like when the symbiote was really corrupted to the side of evil, not anti-hero bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he also recaps his history with Lee, who was the guy previous to Eddie that had controlled the symbiote, who made him do similar shit. Like, he's recapping the bad people who've had control of him and what they made him do. Now, Eddie knows he's been feeling kind of groggy and tired lately. He kind of thinks he wants to get all distractions out of his house so he can start sleeping right, and tries to pawn his TV. The guy looks at, he's got one of those old school box TVs. The guy's like, you ain't getting no money for this.
He's like, a couple $100, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he kind of laughs at him. He's like, you ain't getting a couple $100, buddy.
1993.
So yeah, he has to take it back home, when the symbiote's really happy about, because he can keep learning. He's watching some science show. He's watching some show about a mystery solving priest, which is going to connect to the end of this story here, because he gets an idea. In between that scene happening, we recap some history with Flash, how he was a hero and accepted Venom for what he was, helped train a Spawn, and that's Mania. Went on some space adventures with Eddie, Flash. And then this is when the symbiote's traveling alone, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's why I was a little confused about that first scene. So at this point, he watches the show about that priest, and I think he gets the idea that priests are good people, and that this priest he attacked previously, a few issues back before the Stegron run, didn't die, which I was surprised about. We kind of found it out here, and he's recovering in the hospital. He wakes up to the symbiote visiting him, and he's all freaked out at first. But him and the symbiote, not Eddie, have a conversation, and he basically is come here looking for forgiveness. He's learning the actual difference between right and wrong on his own, and not, catering to the host's whims he's a part of, and discovers, he apologizes to the priest, kind of decides he's going to do good instead of bad now, no matter what. And that's how he'll be healed, not necessarily through this serum. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how he'll stop being corrupted.
Yeah, I loved this conversation. It was like a conversation between a little kid and a priest.
Yeah, real creepy as fuck little kid. But yeah, like his words are. He reminds me a little. He talks a little like Bizarro, but not full Bizarro. Like, has moments of it, like as far as his basic understanding level and things. You don't have to think so much about what he's saying because of the weird words placed in the middle, but like there's words and letters missing in his sentences still. It's kind of the comparison I'd go with. So yeah, he's like earn it by crushing criminals as he kind of leaps out the building, goes back to Eddie. And that's how our issue ends. We get a to be continued in the Venom Legacy issue coming out, Lethal Protector. And it looks like, yeah, he's going after the big bads now. There's like Black Cat there, Rhino, Hobgoblin, you know, so some big dudes.
Scorpio guy,
Shocker,
yeah.
Scorpio, yeah, who was in that Spider-Man long-running arc. Boomerang, Elektra is back there.
that cover looks so good. Like it
really,
so
I love that cover. He really looks like Orca though. Like they got to make his snout just a little longer.
Yeah, he does. He looks exactly like Orca right there.
But other than that, yeah, I love the Bagley art on Venom. I think this issue, I was going to say borrow coming into it, but I really like the symbiote's point of view, and reading it a second time, recapping the issue for like you know, the podcast. I'm leaning towards a buy for this issue. I really liked it. You get some perfectly summed up history about who's had the symbiote and what they were up to with them, all while threading a story in between that about what the symbiote's up to when it's not truly being with Eddie when it's awake, you know. So it's cool and interesting, and gives you, I love when they explore the symbiote mythology and where it's from and what it thinks. So this is a buy for me. What about you?
I love that too. You know, I was kind of the exact opposite of what you're doing. Like when I was doing Jean Grey, when I read it, it was kind of like a borrow for me. But then talking about it and reading my notes, like I didn't even read my notes verbatim like I normally do. Like I was just like, Jesus Christ, I really didn't like this issue. I thought I liked it. Like so I went from a borrow to a forget. But this I really enjoyed, and I love what Mike Costa's, like you said, I love what he's doing with the symbiote. Like you get to hear how it feels and how it's learning and what it thinks of itself. Like it has like a personal dilemma, and it's trying to be a better person now that it's learned the difference between good and evil. And I love when he questions Eddie using the medicines. Like he says, I'm sick, I don't feel sick, you know.
Right
but that face, like when it says don't feel sick, and that face just looks so fucking creepy.
There's a few points in this book where like he kind of, his body's kind of like wormy looking, but he's got the face like sticking out and the neck's really long. Like it's full on horror movie creepy. Like I've never been so unsettled by some Venom panels.
I mean, I even
especially when he's talking to the priest. Like he's having a legit heart-to-heart talk with the priest, but he just looks like a creepy fuck that's gonna eat your face off. And
super creepy.
It works though. It works well.
I mean, I really loved everything about it. I loved the recaps because I mean, the recaps make you see that every version of Venom was actually fun and interesting or creepy. You know what I mean? Like the Flash was a cool like soldier, and then he went out into space, and then friggin' Mac Gargan was fucking evil, scary motherfucker during like Dark Reign and Dark Avengers and stuff, and Spider-Man. He was in Spider-Man issues, and then fucking Spider-Man, as you know, when he had the suit, which is the classic story of where it came from, and the original Eddie stuff, like the original Lethal Protector story and all that. Like that was all fun. I like it. It was a good issue. I really like the conversation between him and the priest. Like I kind of feel, even though it's creepy, I feel bad for the symbiote.
Yeah,
you know, because it's like a child. Like it's innocent. Like it doesn't know it was hurting people. You know what I mean? It goes by the whims of its host. So
it's almost like truly a child in the fact that like if mostly kids that are raised up in super fucked up environments like that, like end up kind of being fucked up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what he's going through right now.
That's all it ever knew.
And and still learning right from wrong and really starting to figure it out. So
gaining cool. True sentience, knowing the difference between right and wrong. This definitely a buy for me. This was a buy.
And I coupled these two issues together when we were doing the books and grouping them and talking about them, because it was like the definition of how to almost do a one shot and then the definition of how not to. It was a good just comparison, like between forget and a buy. Like we both kind of agree that Jean Grey just meandered and eventually got to the point the last 2 pages. And Venomverse like really told you a good story, and you know, that's the difference between buy and forget. And
It really did.
so
told you a good story that could stand on its own, but also like goes with the storyline that it already has, which is pretty friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So that's book section number 1. Gonna go off to the midpoint marvelous facts and talk a little Luke Cage and sum up Venomverse 3 for you here in book section number 2. So we'll be right back after this PSA. And I'm really running out of PSA. So if anybody has any PSA ideas, if you like any that I haven't spotlighted or highlighted yet that you find entertaining, let me know. I'll put those in there as well. But yeah, we'll be right back.